Now, I don't ask for these in the beginnings of videos and stuff like that, but ultimately, if you like to spread awareness about, basically a lot of the news and stuff going on and being aware about what's going on and everything like that, I highly recommend that you like the video, share the video, subscribe, and basically just, do what you can to spread the word about a lot of the stuff that's been happening to more people. The more people that are aware of what's going on and is more in tune with trying to get together, trying to actually like fight back in whatever way with knowledge, knowing about a lot of stuff that the government is trying to pull, the more of a better chance that we could maybe make the future a bit better. And if you just like to help with the channel and just help me personally, Kofi is in the comments. You help donate through that in the description as well, which would help me tremendously getting from, a bit better of a time to actually survive in these rough ass streets. Because damn sure the cost of living ain't helping for shit. When it comes down to it, it ain't going down none. It's been ass. So thank you very much. That whatever people can donate through to a Kofi would be absolutely appreciated, and you don't know how much that would mean to me. But let's actually get into it though. If you pay attention to a lot of the uploads I've been doing recently, it's been about other things within the anime space and just kind of been focusing on that sort of bit. But when it comes down to it though, as much as you might want to ignore stuff and as much as you might want to just focus on, what you actually care about, ultimately you can't really just always focus on that sort of thing. And I know a lot of people have been going around too and been asking, why are like a lot of people within the anime space talking about a lot of world news, a lot of things that's going on? Like, why do they really very much care about this sort of stuff? And very much simply because it's going to affect basically all of us, right? And we very much want people to be aware of all this sort of stuff that's going down, whether it's things like, the UK ID thing that's being forced upon people, because if you don't have the ID, you can't work in the UK, which is so damn dumb. And I'm so glad there is a lot of people, damn near almost 2 million people, fighting back against it, which should tell Parliament, maybe we should calm down with all this nonsense, but we'll see if the drunk ass government over there will actually do something for the people for once, right? Then at the very same time, you do get things like Florida trying to absolutely go ham against the payment processor, sue them, but it's not the MasterCard Visa payment processor, it's some other one like SegPay or something like that helps the Taku, which obviously is allowing you to buy stuff from an adult site and whatever, right? Legally letting you buy whatever the hell you want to, and ultimately they want to sue them for no reason? Cracker behavior, right? It just genuinely is. Then you have, just so much of this censorship, control, fanatic fiasco that is just across the board, seemingly in every country, in every form of government in some shape and form, and it's tiring. It's shitty, and it sucks every which way possible. The only people that's not really suffering from it is really Nepal. They're the only ones that actually fought back and did something, and very much, it's kind of just cooling over there a little bit, or at least trying to manage the best they can by them citizens alone, and that's just how it is. The reason why a lot of people are talking about this, whether they are anime people or people that talk about things like in games or whatever, or however the hell, the reason why they're talking about stuff like this is because it affects our daily life of what we like, right? Anime was easily one of the biggest really harassment campaigns against of anything when it comes down to trying to ban something or censor stuff just in general, right? It started off very simple in the beginning, well, like way back when it was just localized, just being on some dumb shit. We didn't really get too much of a push to kind of show off that localization sucks ass until like big content creators start talking about it, and then that's kind of how all that sort of go down, and we started figuring out more about the anime industry and stuff like that, and how much of a hold they have on the anime industry. Then we started to really yap about that a bit. Then it started getting into a lot of other wilder tangents of how they try to manipulate how Japan just works, right? Trying to tell them that, you can't put male and female as a character option in games when that should be the norm. I don't see why they have to keep doing these type 1, type 2 body types. That's just weird. And when it comes down to it, it's just been stuff like that. But then ultimately it started getting into even more wilder tangents and territories of just stupidity. Like obviously when Lolly was getting attacked in general of what the concept of it is, trying to ban it from different platforms, payment processors trying to push against it, collectors shout also being on nonsense when it comes down to what they're doing as well. And it's just been a painful time, right? And people, again, has tried to warn other people, but then no one effing listened. Then they went after furries, right after they got done beating the shit out of some lollies, and essentially they just started messing with them. And they quickly dealt with those people, right? And furries were pissed, but we told them about this years ago. We've been said this years ago. Plenty of people have said this years ago, and ultimately nothing was ever done. And now we're at a point where basically everything is a battle for censorship, things going off in weird ways that they really shouldn't, and now basically every piece of news, unfortunately, is just something that people have to basically cover, even if they don't want to. In reality, a lot of these anime channels would very much love to do nothing more than talk about, their favorite shows, or just talk about things that obviously, it's just only in the realm of fiction. But because it also affects the realm of fiction, because it affects the things that we watch and shows that we want to see come out and stuff like that, and how they get treated potentially, we have to kind of bring this stuff up, whether or not we want to, in general. Because it doesn't help when you have those very same governmental powers be very much, using and doing anything that they want to and trying to manipulate people into thinking certain ways or believing certain things and stuff like that. It doesn't really help when literally they also use anime themselves to kind of promote and boast up their own shit of what they're doing. Like, have y'all seen the thing with Ice recently with them using the Pokemon theme and using Pokemon like opening and trying to, include that into them trying to raid and trying to, capture people that are in for the whole migration, immigration stuff and all that stuff when it comes down to it? It's wild. It's crazy. And the fact that they did that shit is even more crazy still, right? They won't leave shit alone. People just do not leave shit alone. They do not know how to just let people be, let IPs do their thing, and that's just how it is. No, they have to involve everything. And the only reason why they do things like this, at least a lot of governments, and why they do shit like this, is because they want some type of promotion. That is literally the only reason why. Any type of reaction for them is a positive reaction. I don't get how that works, but it is basically the case, right? And then you slowly start to see how much of this sort of stuff gets wrapped up around things of anime, and how much of how many threats really affect things of anime or games or whatever when it comes down to it, right? Because there's always something, at play that's just against the average person, and it's very much a tiring battle every single time. It genuinely just does not make any sense. Like all these child safety acts, when it comes down to it, they are not out here trying to protect children or anything like that. If that was the case, they would drop the damn Island Man files. They would very much do that, right? Which apparently that's also a thing that nobody seems to care about anymore, but you should still be very much caring about, because those people are still walking around free. When it comes down to it though, it's just like they want to put everything under the bus, put anime and games and things like that under the bus, say that's what we need to protect children from, when in reality that's not even remotely the damn problem. People try to link that to some type of violence or some type of like abuse or whatever, but ultimately it's just not how that links up. That has not been a thing that links up ever, and it won't be. But they'll do everything in their power to ban things like anime or ban things like games or whatever, adult content that's solely for adults, instead of actually trying to do something to, better like a lot of our lives when it comes down to taking care of the people, which is something that the government is supposed to do, but they just don't do it for whatever reason. I think the sign was very much clear for anybody that should be clear on this, that they don't care about anything but self-promotion, is when the whole Roblox thing happened. Like, let's really look at that whole situation. You already had government people kind of already having stocks in Roblox at a time when it came down to it. And you know what ended up happening with that situation? Why they got into it? Is because they wanted to self-promote themselves. That's really what it was. They wanted themselves to look good. Because I'm pretty certain I'm pretty confident I could take a guess that a lot of these government officials very much knew about the predator stuff that was going on in Roblox. I'm pretty sure they knew that children were actually in danger. But if they knew that, why the hell didn't they do anything earlier? Why didn't they say anything earlier? Because nobody was talking about it. No one was really bringing it up. It had to take the hand of Schlepp and somebody else to kind of bring this sort of stuff to light. And then ultimately, that's when they started moving fast, trying to, actually do something against Roblox and stuff like that, just again for self-promotion. If you knew the issue for a long period of time, you would do something about it, but they didn't, and they did that just solely for a political power move, and that's just how it is. And that's really, once you really look at a lot of the stuff that governments do, that's basically all they ever do it for. It's some type of political power move, or it's for some type of self-promotion, and that's literally it. They don't care in any other shape and form. That is all they really focus on. That's all they really have ever done. And that's just how it is for a lot of it, right? Again, I promise you, things of fiction and things of games and anime and whatever the hell have you, adult content even, is not necessarily a threat to children and things like that, right? You shouldn't have to enforce things like age verifications and everything like that to just access social media in general, when it should be up to the damn the parents of those very same kids to actually lay down the law for the kids and be like, all right, this is what actually is going to happen here. This is what you do. This is where we go. Instead of just leaving them to do 5 pounds of crack and then imagine that they won't do anything that is utterly stupid online, or try to do something that can get them into trouble. Because no shit, you just left your kid there with 5 pounds of crack. Of course they're going to do something stupid. Like, I'm at a point where I'm like, if you believe a lot of this stuff is actually about protecting the children, that's what the government actually want to do, I do feel like genuinely you have to be slow. You have to be kind of retarded to kind of not see what's going on, because that is clearly not what their focus is. Their focus is on trying to, get away with how much shit they can do, and they want to see how far they can actually push things before people start fighting back, which honestly, I'm amazed that only Nepal has fought back so far. I'm amazed that no one else has done it and turned into an L block crash out like Rock Lee. I'm surprised we haven't seen anything like that in the UK especially, or just in Europe, because a lot of the stuff usually starts off in like these other countries or Europe or Australia or whatever, and then it starts affecting the entirety of the rest of the world, right? Because digital ID is easily one of the terrible things that they can easily implement into a lot of countries that will be very dumb, very much a waste of time, and stuff that just really isn't necessary whatsoever. And to keep it very much a stack, when you implement things like that, you would think people would fight back even harder than ever, and hopefully people will fight back in some shape or form. But it's just kind of crazy that they're just pushing so much shit for people to kind of just deal with, and ultimately just letting the cards where they may and not really giving two damns about it, honestly. The reason why people like myself talk about these sort of issues, or at least bring them up in some shape and form, is because we want people to be aware, be smart, understand that things is absolutely terrible, and it's not necessarily any type of great time right now. It has been a tragic hellhole of just stuff going wrong, and people need to know, right? The more you are aware of this sort of stuff, the more you can basically have the knowledge and idea to kind of say, yeah, I kind of want to fight back against this stuff. And that's just how it is. Again, this is why it is incredibly crucial and important that you like these videos, that you subscribe to these people's channels, my channel, whoever channel, that talks about things like this. Because ultimately, the more people are aware, the more people have a better chance of figuring out shit, and then maybe trying to push back on ideas that the government is basically trying to force down. When nobody's talking, everybody essentially loses. And as much as we don't want to necessarily talk about these sort of things half the damn time, it's really necessary to bring this type of stuff up. Do you really want to deal with digital ID at all in your own countries that may not have it? I don't think you do. Do you want to see anime and games just get straight up banned and canceled out the wazoo because the government's try to put out whatever weird thing they can do, or these different types of payment processors and credit cards and activist groups try to go through and do the most dumb shit possible? No, you don't want to necessarily deal with stuff like that. And honestly, somebody has to bring it up. Somebody has to talk about these sort of things. So of course they want to, necessarily have people come out there and just straight up talk about these sort of things, even if it's not necessarily in their wheelhouse. News is very much not in my wheelhouse in general of stuff that I would like to talk about. However, it is also important for people to be smart, to be again aware of the things that is going on. And ultimately, if you're not necessarily in the know, you're gonna get cooked. And then when the government comes knocking through your door, clapping you in the cheeks, you're not really ready for it, right? Because again, it's really just feeling like, how much can they push at this point? Like, you really gotta be, again, very slow to be thinking that this is for protecting the children, because it's absolutely not. I'll be absolutely upfront. We are basically facing a point in time where people very much need to be united more than possible. And I ain't saying be united with, like, just in the general sense of it, or, with in order of government or something like that. No, I mean people, citizens of their own countries, be united together to face off against threats like these that, basically wreaks havoc in daily life of what you normally deal with. Right? Because that's really what this shit comes down to. We don't need to be, basically looking at different political parties or whatever, and then calling other people head asses or whatever when it comes down to it, and try to be separate. We don't really need to look at race. We don't need to look at what country you rep. We don't need to look at a lot of this sort of stuff that divides people. We need genuinely people to kind of be together and actually realize, okay, there's a giant threat that's bigger than a lot of these other factions that we are from and how we deal with stuff. We need to actually focus up on these assholes that's actually trying to, set things in motion to kind of F us over in whatever way possible. That's literally how people need to start thinking when it comes down to it. Because ultimately, if we keep looking at who's on the left and who's on the right or whatever and stuff like that, we're gonna get cooked. We're gonna get cooked in 5 ways from Sunday. And I promise you, a ban on anime and a ban on games or adult content is gonna be the last thing on anybody's mind when basically even more weirder and sadder shit ends up happening, right? And that's just how it is. You can't just let people do whatever the hell they want to when it comes down to it. You got to make sure that there is a leash on that chain that can't necessarily go too much one way and too much the other way. And that's just ultimately how it is, right? It generally just is like that. To be truthful, all I want is just to go ahead, chill back out, and just start watching my anime again, or playing my anime games, or doing things of adult content and stuff like that freely, without the necessary need of just worrying about censorship and worrying about, these different acts and these different bans when it comes down to state and governments and all this sort of stuff. Like, ultimately, that's why people are very much in the know and very much is fighting against stuff. They very much are getting their stuff to be attacked in all these sort of different ways and shapes and form that they don't really like, that affects the things that they do like. And essentially, if no one can really stand up and do something against it, somebody needs to. And ultimately, if somebody can talk about it, then they're going to have to. That is just genuinely how it is. Right? So ultimately, again, the reason why a lot of people that are from different spaces talking about this is because it affects their space. It affects things of anime, it affects things of games and whatever. And essentially, if no one again talks about it, then it's just GG's for the rest of us, right? And that's just how it is. So ultimately, we don't like these sort of talking points. We really don't. We would like to talk about literally anything else. But ultimately, until, we can make sure that censorship don't get slapped onto anime, games, or whatever that we like so damn hard, that we can still access what we want to access in legal ways and stuff like that, that we don't have to worry about payment processors being on some bullshit like they currently are, or activist groups trying to hoe everybody else because they are a part of some type of weird ass group and obviously does not care about the rest of humanity and stuff like that. Until we can actually sit here and be fine and no one is constantly dick riding literally a lot of things that we like in the worst possible way, we have to talk about it. We have to talk about it. We have to bring it up. We have to make sure that people are aware and fighting back with knowledge, because ultimately, if you don't, again, everything is cooked. It is cooked and your ass is getting blasted right to the moon into the next galaxy, because that's just how it's going to be, though. But yeah, I do want to talk about that just a little bit because again, there's so much stuff that's going on, and clearly people are very much wanting to fight back, especially in the UK because they have signed that petition or whatever it's called to kind of just be like, yeah, no, we don't want digital ID, which is almost 2 million signatures. So that should tell you something, Parliament. But when it comes down to it, though, we can only just hope and pray that, the citizens get what they need instead of just getting hoed in every five directions. And very much, I hope that for basically every country to get what they need for their citizens instead of getting hoed in every five directions. Especially, again, with places where like age verification and, things like that exist and it's not really a thing that's needed, right? Again, there are so many other issues that they can very much focus on, like the cost of living easily, actually letting people work jobs and actually get what they need to on the lower level of citizens that obviously can just work regular jobs and stuff like that, and instead of a lot of these other problems that should not be problems. Like that's just how it is, so that's just really what it comes down to. But anyway, hopefully you did enjoy. If you did, be sure to like, share, subscribe, hit the bell notification on your way out. Also follow me on socials, and if you'd like to donate to the channel, Kofi and Cash App is available as well. And until next time, Jay, sign off. Have a blessed day.